I don't open ChatGPT and expect her to read my mind. I treat her like a brainstorming buddy and honestly, like a very fast assistant or virtual assistant who's just sitting right by me. And that, I respect her. I treat her like a human. I actually say thank you. I say please and thank you. And I praise her when she does well. And I don't know if that makes a difference, but I use my manners. Welcome to The Creative Bodega, a podcast about content marketing, Instagram growth, and personal branding for female service-based solopreneurs who want to grow their business without letting it take over their lives. I'm your host, Em Connors, and each week I'll share actionable tips, expert advice, and unfiltered truths to help you create engaging content, connect authentically with your audience, and turn followers into loyal customers, all without the burnout. If you're ready to simplify your content creation, navigate the ever-changing trends, and build a business that works for you while staying sane in this crazy season of life, then you're in the right place. All right, today we're talking about 5 ways I'm getting better answers from ChatGPT. And if you saw a story of mine in the last couple months, my auto captions in Instagram like to turn ChatGPT into ChatGPT, like Chippy, like CHIPPYTTEA, and I find it adorable. I just picture like a little teacup, like from Beauty and the Beast. You remember the little boy Chip? Wasn't his name Chip? Oh my God, he's so cute. Anyways, ChatGPT is such an amazing tool, and I know there's the haters out there, and I know there's the people that are obsessed with it, and I'm somewhere in the middle. But I cannot even put into words how much time this tool has saved me, mostly because I'm not great with words. So for me, it has helped me give a voice, a better voice to my captions or headlines or parts of my emails or podcast scripts. I'm not going to tell you what I do now because that's what we're going to talk about today. But anyways, if you've ever opened up ChatGPT and typed in something like, write an Instagram caption about mindset, only to get like a cringy, super AI sounding response that sounds nothing like you, today's episode is going to change that for you. Like, I want to let you know how I'm pushing ChatGPT to give me a lot better answers off the bat, or sometimes we got to go back and forth a little bit. Me and her, we got to like work things out sometimes. It's not just like she says it and I'm like, you're the best, thanks. I'm like, girl, dig a little deeper. That's not quite what I was looking for. So I use it every day. She's open on my desktop. Between saying ChatGPT 7,000 times in this episode, I bet you a lot of words are going to get a little funky. So just bear with me. I use it for captions, for newsletters, for podcast outlines, for presentation outlines, for launch ideas, for product ideas, for responding to tricky DMs and emails, even brainstorming freebies, like responding to people in my community. I'm telling you, I'm using it for everything. And again, when I think about why this is working so well for me, it's probably because I'm not great with words. And so she is just my bestie. She's in my back pocket all the time. I don't need her to come up with a design. I got the design part. I got the visuals, but I need the words to go with all the things that I want to make. And that takes me, or used to take me, a very long time. And what I'm realizing is that most people aren't getting the most out of it, or they're not getting the answers they want and they're kind of giving up on it. But it's not because ChatGPT doesn't work. It's because you really have to know how to ask better questions. And so in this episode, I want to walk you through the 5 things I'm doing differently to get better, faster, more aligned answers from her as a solopreneur content creator. And I'm just going to call her because, you know, she's a girl. She's my girl. And hopefully it helps me not have to say ChatGPT 65,000 times. All right, so here's what we're going to cover. How I treat her like a creative partner, why I created my own custom GPTs and what that means exactly, how I prompt her like a strategist, not like a robot, how I refine the tone until it actually sounds like me, and what not to do if you want helpful on-brand content. So make sure you stick around for the last one. That's a good one. So let's dive in. Number 1, I treat her like a creative partner, not a magic machine. I don't open ChatGPT and expect her to read my mind. I treat her like a brainstorming buddy, and honestly, like a very fast assistant or virtual assistant who's just sitting right by me. And that is, I mean, I respect her I treat her like a human. I actually say thank you. I say please and thank you. And I praise her when she does well. And I don't know if that makes a difference, but I made a reel once about like the AI apocalypse coming and them all like all these robots walking towards you, but you like just living it up and dancing around the robots because you say please and thank you to her. So like they're not coming after me. I use my manners, but I give it what she needs. So when I'm planning a podcast, I don't just say, write a podcast about ChatGPT. You know what I mean? Like, I'll give her a rough idea that I'm playing with. Like, I share what I want to say, and then I literally type, what questions do you need to ask me to make this the best possible episode for my listeners? And this becomes a back and forth conversation, okay? So I will say something like, she has a name, her name's Cass. So like, hey Cass, I want to do a 20-minute podcast episode about 5 ways I'm using ChatGPT to come up with better answers. Here's some things that I know that I'm doing, but I want you to ask me some questions to make this episode even better. I'm thinking about giving them 5 things that I'm doing, and I want there to be a lot of aha moments and like big takeaways so people can implement this right away. What questions do you have for me? And that question, what questions you have for me, like she will immediately launch into, okay, I like where you're heading with this. And she'll ask me like 20 questions. And so what I then do is I highlight those questions, I copy them and I paste them in the reply box, and one by one I start answering them. So I hope everyone knows this, but if you hit shift return, you can return down a line in ChatGPT. Like it won't, because if you hit return, it's going to like fire away. It's going to start answering your question. So I don't want to hit return yet officially. I want to just move down lines. So shift return, answer the question. Go to the next question, shift return, here's my answer. And sometimes I'm like, I don't want to answer this one, or I don't know. Can you help me come up with a great response for this question? Because nothing's really coming to mind. And she will. And sometimes I like her answer and sometimes I don't. But she'll give her best go. And she knows me pretty darn well. I do have the pro ChatGPT, so I am paying monthly. I think it's $20. It is, oh my God, it is worth its weight in gold. I would pay 10 times more. And I hope they're not listening, but I would pay so much more. So if you've been disappointed by ChatGPT and the answers she's giving you, chances are you didn't give her enough context. Again, I even threw in, it's a 20-minute episode. Like that's to give her a frame of reference of how long I'm going to want this script to be for this podcast. Or you expected a great answer from a really vague question. So really, to get better questions, don't be afraid to say, what questions do you need to ask me to make this as clear as possible or the best possible episode or piece of content for my ideal client? And if you're paying for GPTs, and I'll explain that in a second, but basically they're like personal assistants. I have a copywriting GPT. Like she's going to know who your ideal client is already. You don't need to be putting that in every time. But if you're not paying, you need to be putting in who your ideal client is and what they struggle with. So the more you show up with a vision, the more she can show up with clarity, in my opinion. Step number 2, let's talk about the GPTs. I built my own GPTs and you can too. So the game changer for me in using ChatGPT really has been these GPTs. I call them my assistants, basically. If you're using a free version of ChatGPT, you're talking to a generic model. It's smart, but it doesn't know you. It can't retain all this information about you. So I wanted to build my own custom assistants and teach them and give them a ton of information about me, my business, my ideal client, my tone of voice, my branding, my everything. And when you upgrade to ChatGPT Plus, which you pay for, $20 a month, people, you get access to custom GPTs and you can build them. So you think of these like your AI assistants. You can train for specific roles in your business. So I've built a podcast assistant. Hello, she helped me come up with this whole script. I have a membership focused assistant for my community, the Content Coven. And I have a copywriter who knows my tone of voice, my audience, whatever. The next time I run my signature offer, the Instacanva Collective, which happens in January, happens once a year. It's a phenomenal 8-week-long course. I'm going to create a custom GPT for that. I think that'd be really helpful for me. So those are mine. I don't have any more, any less. These GPTs remember your voice, your vibe, your systems. They want to give you answers that feel way more aligned than the generic model. So if you're a solopreneur creating a lot of content, the $20 a month for Plus is just so worth it, in my opinion. It's literally saved me hours. I have a quick little tutorial on how to set up a custom GPT. I'll put that in the show notes of this. And if you want to see the show notes, you're going to go to thecreativebodega.com/blog/28. And I will list all that good stuff out there. So step number 3 is I prompt her like a strategist, not like a robot. Okay. The magic isn't really in the tool. It's how you're talking to the tool. So here are a few real ways I use ChatGPT differently, in my opinion. You know what? You could be listening to this and be like, you're dope. My Nana used to always say, where would you do that for, you big dope? What a great word. I don't know. But I just find that sometimes I share things and people are like, what? And I'm like, oh my God, everybody didn't know that. I upload my podcast transcript and I ask, turn this into a 10-slide carousel. Make it story-based and captivating. What questions do you have for me to make this the best possible thing? Or I upload a carousel graphic that I have used in the past. And I say, analyze this content inside this graphic and help me write a really great carousel caption that's very SEO rich with a call to action that says this. Or I give it a draft of something and I say, make this sound like something I'd actually say. Like I'm texting my bestie or something like that. What questions do you have for me that you need to ask to make it better? And sometimes she doesn't have any questions. It's pretty wild. But most of the time she does. Or I will challenge it. If something feels off, I literally say, can you tone this down and make it more plain language? This does not sound like me. And she's usually like, oh my gosh, you're right. Thank you for calling me out. Let's try this again. And then the next version is just like so much more chill and toned down that I'm like, thank you. Like, I'm not trying to sound like a robot. So you don't need to sound like a copywriter to get good content. You just need to ask like really clear, specific things. And if it doesn't work the first time, keep going back and forth with her. Something's not hitting right with this, ChatGPT. Can you help me figure out why if you don't know? You know what I mean? Like go back and forth. Act like it's a strategist, not a robot. Number 4, I don't settle for the first draft. So this is huge. Most people copy and paste that first response and then they wonder why it feels generic. Here's the truth. ChatGPT doesn't get it right the first time. Mine never does. It's your job to guide her. I often will say things like, sounds too formal. Can you make it more conversational? Or I don't like this headline. It sounds really cheesy. Can you make it more conversational or whatever? Or this sounds too salesy and I want it to sound more supportive. Can you try again? Or can you write this like I'm encouraging a member inside my membership who's in a funk? Like I try to tell her like, this is who I'm kind of trying to talk to here. Can you make it sound like that? And tone is going to be everything. You can teach it to sound like you, but only if you tell it what's off, only if you're communicating with her. And she'll store this information, like especially if you have these GPTs. If you're going back and forth and you're like, tone it down. I don't like that tone of voice. Make it sound less robotic, like make it sound more supportive. These are conversations she's gonna recall. So I want you to think of ChatGPT as your creative intern or assistant. Super fast, but they're gonna need feedback and that's okay, right? Step number 5, last step. The number 1 mistake people make and how to avoid it is here's what doesn't work. Like typing, write a caption about showing up on Instagram and hitting enter. It's too vague, you guys. There's no tone. There's no audience. She doesn't know how long you want it to be. There's no context. It's honestly like posting a story in Instagram and just like sharing like a picture of something really random in your house, but there's zero context. And I'm like, what are we looking at? Why are we looking at this? Instead, sharing a picture in your house and being like, oh my God, look at this new rug I got. It's on sale. Here's where I got it from. It's so soft. You guys need to go buy it right now. Like, context. But why do we care about this, right? Why does she care? How can she make it better? It's your job to figure that out. The biggest mistake is expecting ChatGPT to read your mind. She's not a mind reader. She needs that feedback. So if you don't tell it who you're writing to, what kind of energy you want, or what your point of view is, it's always going to sound like an AI robot. So here's a better version. So instead of write a caption about showing up on Instagram, hit enter. You're going to say, write a caption for an overwhelmed female service-based solopreneur who's 1 to 2 years into her business, who knows how to use Canva, but is tired of guessing what to post. Make it warm, encouraging, and end with a clear call to action to download my freebie, blah, 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 and name the freebie. That kind of prompt is going to get a lot better response than write a caption about how to show up on Instagram. Okay, so final takeaways. You're the creative director. You have a lot of power here. You need to use the power wisely. ChatGPT is the assistant, the intern. They're learning from you. AI is powerful, but it's not your voice. It doesn't have your experience, and it doesn't probably know your messaging, right? It needs you for all of that. So when you learn to use ChatGPT with this like really clear intention and not just for shortcuts, it becomes your secret weapon for creating consistent content that is really going to speak to you and your brand. So here's the challenge for this week. Try one of the prompts I shared. Ask better questions and don't settle for the generic feedback. If it's not hitting, let her know. You're allowed to push her, and you should push her as a tool. And the results are really going to blow you away. I really think they will. If you thought this episode was helpful, shoot me a DM. Let me know how you're using ChatGPT. School me on something. If you're asking better questions than I even mentioned in this episode, like, please, I'm all for hearing what you have to say. Send me your best prompt. I am so here for it. I'd love to hear what you're creating. And hi, thanks for being here on this episode of the Creative Bodega. I will see you on the next one. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on the Creative Bodega podcast. If you love this episode, please be sure to share it with a fellow solopreneur who could use a little content creation inspiration. And hey, don't forget to check out the show notes for any resources I mentioned on the episode to help you create content that feels easy and actually gets you results. If you want even more Canva and content tips, head over to my website, thecreativebodega.com, or find me on Instagram under the same name. Until next time, keep creating, keep showing up, and most importantly, try and have a little fun with your content. I'll see you on the next episode.